So the reason I wrote the quitting framework is because I realized in hindsight that I was able to quit things easier than most people. Let's take one step back. Why is quitting important? In life, we glamorize starting, right? But my observation was that the advantage I've had, as I've said, was being able to quit fast and with peace and ease. And when you just think logically about starting something, right? Or saying, it's also the same with like saying yes and no to things. In order to start something in life, you actually first need to quit something else. So you can't start a new relationship unless you quit the last one. You're not going to start a new startup unless you quit the last one. You're not going to start a new career unless you've quit the last job. So quitting and starting should be held in equal regard, and there should be acknowledgement that they have a two-way relationship with one another. They're both the actions of winners. People say quitting is for losers, and they say like starting is for winners. In fact, quitting and starting are both for winners. And the most successful, intelligent people I've ever met have an unbelievable ability to quit things that make no objective sense. You're quitting that high-paying job to go and do card tricks at a table in Bristol, Darren Brown. You're quitting that amazing career as a lawyer that your parents are now so proud of you to go and spend the next 10 years going up and down the country in pubs and cracking jokes, Jimmy Carr. It objectively seems to make no sense, but subjectively they've reached a certain level of ease. So I could relate to myself in the same way in the regard of, if you look at what I've quit from, like, stop going to school because I realized that wasn't going to be the paper that I got at the end of the process wasn't going to be enough, especially compared to my brothers. Quit university after that first lecture, quit my first startup after 2 years, quit my second one after about 6 years, and lots of little quitting in and amongst there. Why was I able to quit with peace at times when objectively you would think I was a madman for doing so, when I was leaving so much apparently on the table? And so I tried to make a framework that other people could use to try and make their quitting decisions through. So at the start of the framework, you ask yourself, am I thinking of quitting? It's either, yes or no. So if you are thinking of quitting, the framework begins. And I created these two subcategories, which you can define for yourself, which I think is important to do. You're either thinking of quitting something because something's really hard, like it's difficult. And then, which would be, you're running a marathon and you're on the 23rd mile and you're doing it, to raise money for a charity, but it's painful, it's difficult, it's causing discomfort. Or you're thinking about quitting something because it sucks. And that's more of like an emotional, mental thing.